Hello, Hunters, Miserion here. With the impending release of Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, I thought this would be a good time to talk about the best ways to use Bowguns in multiplayer Monster Hunter. I know some of you guys are keen to try out the Bowgun classes and aren't really sure how to go about gunning effectively, so here are all the basics you need to know about gunning in multiplayer. The aim of this guide is to give you the understanding you'll need and some suggested approaches to get into the world of gunning. This guide assumes no prior knowledge at all about how gunning works. Before we get into the technical stuff, I want to stress that gunning should not be seen as an easy way to be legitimately out of harm's way. Gunning well, even if you are playing a supportive style, is intensive and you're going to be very close to the creatures for the majority of the time. Gunning properly isn't an easy ride while the melee guys do the heavy lifting. But on the plus side, studies have shown that effective gunners in online Monster Hunter consistently rate in the top 5 groups of most attractive people worldwide. It's just something to think about there. So, on to the basics. Normal, pellet, and pierce shots do what is called shot-type damage. This is different from what hammers and hunting horns primarily do, which is impact, and from the other classes which mainly do cutting damage. You'll see shots have different levels too. Very simply put, the higher the level of the shot, the more damage it does and the more it recoils. Normal type is a regular bullet that fires in a straight line. You shouldn't be using normal 1 in regular play since it does very little damage. Normal 2 is a consistent and dependable shot, and Normal 3 is similar, although it can bounce. As long as it bounces once, it will out-damage Normal 2. Normal 2 does more damage otherwise. And Normal 3 has a longer effective range. I always take full stacks of Normal 2 and 3 on all of my hunts, even if I'm going melee. Pierce shots travel in a straight line and hit several times inside of a creature. High level shots hit more times and require you to fire from further back to get the most out of them. Pellet is a shotgun type shot that releases a cloud of auto-aiming flechettes. Higher level pellet shots mean more pellets are released per volley. Elemental bowgun shots do damage only of that element instead of shot type damage. They act exactly like normal 2 style shots otherwise. The exception is dragon shots, which you can carry very few of and act like a pierce style shot. Cluster shots fire in a straight line. They hit a target and then explode a second later, releasing smaller bomblets that explode. Higher level shots mean more bomblets. Grag shots are almost like using a rocket launcher. Again, they fly in a straight line, they stick into something and explode. If you hit monsters in the head with these, they will build up KO value. This is also the case with exhaust shots, which also cause a creature to go into a fatigued or hungry state faster. Note that Krag, Clust, and barrel bombs do what's called explosive type damage, not shot damage. This means that they will do the same damage to a creature wherever they land. Where a monster is weak to shot type damage is going to be different in a number of cases to where it's weak to cutting or impact damage, so it's important to look this information up online and find which hit zones take what damage so you're not wasting normal shots on a Rathalos' head, for example. Raw shots, so pierce, pellet, and normal, have range modifiers. This means that how far away from the creature you are changes the damage that you do. For Normal 2, you should only be about 3 rolls back from the creature at most, and for Normal 3, you can be up to 5. After this range, you lose a full 1/3 of your damage. For Pierce, being too close also means you do less damage, so for all levels of Pierce, stay at least 3 rolls back. Don't use pellet shots online. Any damage that you do will be outweighed by the fact that up to 3 other players are suddenly unable to do any damage because your shots are flinching them. Think about how annoying it is when a longsword user uses the spirit combo like it's going out of fashion, and realize pellet is more annoying than that. While your shots can't hurt other players, they can hit them. When your players are between you and a monster, take a half second first to aim up at a creature or to the left. If a player isn't already attacking, your shot will go through them and flinch them, which can stop them getting out of harm's way. There are a series of utility shots like Heal S, Demon S, Armor S, and Paint S. Don't use them. Heal shots will heal monsters as well as healing players, and it is actually faster to put your gun away and use a life powder instead of switching to them. This also heals everyone in the zone without risking you healing a monster. This is the same for Demon and Armor shots. If you are dead set on giving other players the pretty minor boost that these shots offer, it's a better idea to take a wide area armor set and eat power or armor seeds. It will save you time as well as buffing you, and it means your other consumables will help them as well. That was a lot of information to throw at you in a single go, so don't worry if it doesn't all make sense just yet. Once you get to playing, you'll quickly pick it up. Now that you're armed with that understanding, it's time to think about how to apply it. You can gun effectively online by taking one of two broad beginner approaches: support or damage. Supportive play is probably what many players think of as the classical role of a gunner in an online match, if they haven't seen the potential of a good heavy bow gunner. There is nothing wrong at all with focusing on playing a supporting role though, and against some creatures and with certain teams, it's actually a better option. If you're playing with friends who aren't very developed in their hunting skills, or with a team of randoms and you are the most experienced player, it's probably a good idea to play support at least at first. The focus of this role is to help your teammates in killing the boss rather than focusing on putting out damage. You're going to be doing this in a number of ways, mainly by paralyzing, sleeping, poisoning, and knocking out creatures. Once you get used to it, you'll be able to keep a creature locked in place just about with some practice, even as the only gunner in a team. What's very effective is cycling through your statuses. If you switch between exhaust or crag shots to knock out a creature, and then paralyze shots when it's knocked out, etc., you can give your teammates a huge window of free damage. Note that while a monster is under the effects of one status, like paralyze, you can't start building up value for more paralyze shots until that first paralyze is worn off. As with melee weapons, each status infliction takes more time than the last, so once you've caused 2 or 3 inflictions of a status, it's time to switch to another, or move to straight up damage shots. Finding the right weapon is quite important, so any gun with rapid fire for light bowguns or siege for heavy bowguns of a status shot will be very powerful, and if you're in a team with some great sword or hammer users, then it's worth sacrificing some damage if it means you can better help out those teammates pump damage. If you're going to attempt to sleep a creature so you can sleep bomb it, or have a teammate do a big attack to wake it up, because the first attack on a sleeping creature does bonus damage, coordination is very important. Let your teammates know ahead of time what you're planning to do, so they don't accidentally wake up the creature as soon as it falls asleep. If you're using Exhaust S or Crag S, don't forget that you need to get the headshots to build up the KO value. If you're the only person doing consistent KO damage, so there aren't any other hunting horn or hammer users, or perhaps other gunners with crag shots, then after the second KO, switch to another shot type, as the third KO will take a while, and you're more valuable at that point going for another status or straight up damage. Once you have identified the statuses that you're going to use on any given creature, it's best to pick 2 to start off with so you're not juggling too much. Take those shots, so level 1 and 2 if you can fire them, and combines for more, and always take your stacks of normal 2 and 3. Not all creatures respond well to a support approach, and with random players online, not all the teams you encounter are going to be coordinated enough to make the most of the free damage windows. The other big approach to gunning is one of straight up brute force. A damage gunner setup works off the idea that instead of spending a minute or so firing non-damaging status shots at a creature for 10 seconds of free hits, it's better to spend that minute just damaging it instead. And if you have a team that doesn't need the support, a constant stream of maximized damage is going to put a severe dent in any creature and shorten your kill times dramatically. Essentially, you play very similarly as if you were playing solo, although you make some important adjustments. Ensure you aim horizontally or vertically away from other players, if they are between you and the target, and make sure you get point blank whenever you can, literally so close that if you use the melee gun bash, it will hit the creature. That last point about getting close is going to have to be tempered obviously with your shot type choices. Many players from Try swear by pair shot, which requires that your 3 to 6 rolls back from a creature to maximize damage. But if you're using PS3 and hanging out about 5 or 6 rolls back, you'll often be dragging a creature away from your teammates, which is not conducive to fast kills. Consider using normal 2 or 3, PS1, or switching to an elemental shot set instead. You're also going to want to have 2 targets on the creature to aim at. Creatures always have a primary shot damage weak point, often the head, but not always, which you'll find shooting at isn't always an option because of where it's facing. Always know where else you can shoot, and with what ammo, to ensure you're pumping out the damage. If you find that a creature's back is often to you and raw shot damage there isn't great, consider going for the front or back legs instead for a trip, and then siege or crouch mode when it is tripped, for example. Sieging can be very effective in a damage roll, especially if a creature is just tripped over or is paralyzed. If you are going to siege, again make sure that you're firing in such a way that you won't disrupt other players. It's a good idea to use a shield attachment if you do like to siege too. What this will do is when you're crouched and you can see a hit coming from the Nibble Snarf Express, take the hit as long as you haven't just fired, and you'll automatically block it. It will push you out of siege mode though. Just remember to use siege mode very sparingly on the faster creatures. So, support and damage are the 2 broad approaches to gunning online that I advocate most for new players. You can of course play a hybrid approach, and as you get more advanced in your gunning, you'll probably find yourself doing that and slipping some para level 2 shots in with your normal rounds into your ammo bag. So, picking the gun and armor set that you want to take should be obvious from the choices that you're making. If you want to play support, look for a gun with low recoil and a big clip of status shots, and then grab an armor set with skills like abnormal up or recoil minus, and then other skills that you like. If you're playing the damaging role, on the other hand, grab a gun that fires what you like using, and then go for the skills that support that, so ones that boost damage, or ones that help you to put out damage, like Evade Ink, to keep you in the right range. That's about enough information to get you started playing like a seasoned gunslinger. In conclusion, remember always that you are part of a team, and that what you're doing has to support the team first and foremost. Decide if your team needs support or damage more, and then grab a gun that lets you achieve that aim, and then an armor set which helps support that. Miserion out.